We are sitting down here at the Mid-America Truck Show in Louisville, Kentucky. And it's, as always, a great place to, like I said, the last episode, it's a great place to meet people, to get some good episodes. And I tell you, this one here, Annabelle set up for me, and it's a little bit different. I didn't know all about this, but it's called Wreaths Across America. And Miss Courtney George is sitting down with me to talk about what that is. And it sounds, what little I know, Courtney, it sounds like a great program. Tell us a little bit.
Wreaths Across America is an awesome program. And it's awesome for many reasons. You don't have to dig very deep into a person's history to find a veteran, to find someone who has impacted their life, whether it is a family member, whether it was a neighbor, maybe it was a school teacher. You don't have to dig very far into their past to find someone that has impacted their life, because our servicemen and women have so many amazing skills and are out there doing phenomenal things. And Wreaths Across America just started in 1992.
Oh.
Our founder, Morrill Wester, is a wreath maker out of the state of Maine. He had 5,000 extra wreaths. And as a child, he had won he and a bunch of the other newspaper boys. I hope people listening to this podcast don't know what your newspaper or newsman is. Because I still appreciate mine. I like the physical paper to read. Yeah. But they worked together and won a trip to D.C. when they were very young, like between 8 and 12. And he remembered going to Arlington National Cemetery and said, how cool would it be to be able to place wreaths on these headstones? So flash forward to 1992, and he's got these 5,000 extra wreaths, working with, the senators to be able to be allowed to take those to Arlington National Cemetery. And the family very quietly placed 5,000 wreaths every year from 92 till about the time the viral picture was taken in 2007. So there was a viral picture taken by a member of the media or press, and it is of the wreaths laid against, there's stark marble white headstones, and it was covered with snow, and you can see, the snow cap on the red bow. And so for us, it kind of at that point became very viral. Lots of people wanted to get involved in it. So to think from 2007, us having one location to, I know last week we have over 5,000 participating locations in all 50 states, plus Guam, Puerto Rico, Guantanamo Bay.
What do you mean by locations? A cemetery or where they take wreaths?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So 5,000 cemeteries that are participating in the program at this point. I mean, it would not surprise me if I went up to 5,500 locations that I had to deliver to by the end of this year. And it's the most amazing problem for me to have in the transportation end. But it does so much, a lot for this industry. If you look at it, and I spent 17 years working for trucking companies. And some of the companies I worked for were involved in Wreaths Across America. But when I was a director of recruiting, I looked at it, and the number one demographic that I had when I was slicing the data, which, most companies love when you can come on with data, was the largest demographic I had were veterans. So what was I going to do to, make them and keep them happy? Anybody can say they're a veteran-friendly hiring company, but how do you show it? Veterans want you to show it. And, there's so many great things we see trucking companies do, from, donating their services or, helping with storage of wreaths for the local cemetery near them, and getting them there that day. I mean, volunteering to go place wreaths, volunteering and setting up, a fundraising page to help fundraise for wreaths for maybe it's just Arlington National Cemetery if you're a large location, or maybe it's one down the street. There's so many different examples. I used rail transportation as a real life example. Marshville, where they're based out of, wasn't participating, and once they learned about the program and laid wreaths in D.C., they took it back to their community. And their first year, they raised enough for every veteran in that cemetery in their town to be able to have a wreath.
Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer strives to take care of our owner-operators as quickly and accurately as possible. As a family-owned and operated company, they understand and value the importance of relationships just like we do. That is why Oakley owner-operator Joe Williams continues to return to their shop for service on his truck.
I've been with Oakley Trucking for 2 years in this April, first-time owner-operator. It was a shock, the maintenance and the repairs on it, because I've never done anything like this before. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to try that Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer, because they're so convenient. They're right there off the interstate, right down the road from Oakley Trucking. And I talked to Nathan, and being an owner-operator, he tries to get the owner-operators in and out as quick as possible, because he knows if we're not rolling, we're not making money. If they tell me they can get my truck in at a certain time, they get it in at a certain time. If they tell me, well, it'll be ready at this time, it's ready at that time. So I can really count on them. They're competitive with anybody around, probably better than most.
Next time your truck needs service, give Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer a call at 501-568-2185 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast. Does this happen a certain day of the year,
It
Courtney?
does. It happens either the second or third Saturday in December. This year is going to be Saturday, December 13th. That is a date that has to be approved by Congress.
Really?
Yes. So it is a huge deal for everyone to be able to get out there. And there's a ceremony each location has, and we are placing these concurrently across the country. So the ceremony happens at the same time, and then the wreath placement, so all the way across the country. So if it's 12 noon Eastern time, it's 11 Central, and so on. I think
try to time it to where everybody's participating.
Everyone's participating and placing them all at the same time.
And these wreaths, where they come from?
They're all handmade out of the state of Maine. So we have, our vendor out there has over 67,000 acres of awesome trees. One of my favorite factoids to tell people, I'll be like, how many trees do you think it takes us? Like, how many trees do you think we cut down?
I have no idea.
None.
Oh, none.
It's a renewable resource. So we will tip a tree, which means for you and I, we're thinking about a Christmas tree in the triangular shape. Yeah. And so they get tall and skinny, so they'll come in 3 tippings. You can see the growth. It's that little segment. And so they come in 3 tippings, cut, and then that section won't be cut for at least 3 years. So we aren't losing any trees in the making of this. And what I love is that our vendor allows us, we have a dog tag program. So when these drivers come up and pick up their loads, we have a whole experience for them. So I call it the driver first mile. In trucking, we talk a lot about the final mile, that final delivery. But for me, that first impression, that first experience is so important. So they get welcomed in. We serve 3 hot meals a day for any driver that comes up. They get a welcome bag, which has a hat and a sweatshirt. It's cold up there. I'm from the South, and every year it still surprises me how cold it can get up there.
Yeah.
And we take them on a tour where they can see the wreaths being made, and they can see the trees where they're tipped. And we have a dog tag program, and they can place a dog tag. Maybe it's for someone they served with. Maybe it was for a loved one. And to date, out there on our tip land, we've got over 18,000 dog tags.
You're giving me chills, Courtney.
The chills come,
and
I tell people, I stay in a house kind of right over there. It's a town of 360 people, so there's like...
Yeah.
I think we got a blinking light this year. I think we have one. But some mornings when I'm on my way into the office and I have a couple extra minutes, and instead of taking the main road, I'll go through the tip land to get to the office, and I tell people I kind of stop. There's a private chapel out there, and you slow down, and the wind, we're right off the coast there in Maine, and the wind blows, and all those dog tags start like a wind chime, and
really,
every hair on your body will stand up because you know you're not there alone.
That's awesome. And I think it's really good. You make it important for the truck driver that's coming to pick up a load of wreaths and taking it to one of the 5,000 places that's going. I mean, and you make that special for that truck driver.
You have to make it special for them. I mean, drivers are giving up. This is near the holiday season for them, especially if they're an owner-op. They're giving up, a lot of things to be able to haul this load of respect. And most people will tell you it's the most important load that they've hauled. They're not afraid of doing multiple stops. A lot of them, I had one call me that's at the Women in Trucking booth, and she was in tears because they had given her a police escort into the town.
Oh, wow.
And so our drivers are treated like kings and queens, and celebrated for the heroes that they are. And that's something that in trucking, we don't do a great job of.
Yeah.
And so this is the one day, and I've said it, like I told you, I worked 17 years in trucking, where I used to try to take, time every week to call 5 to 10 drivers and just say, hey, you're doing a great job. Thank you for what you're doing. This is how they hear and feel thank you. And they are respected and represented. And, I see the best of the best in the industry coming out, wanting to do it. I've had recruiters reach out to me and say, what is this program? I've been trying to hire this guy out of Altoona, Pennsylvania, and he told me he will not come to work for me if he can't haul a load of wreaths.
That's awesome.
It's a good feeling for me because then I know that we did something right.
Yeah.
And we work each year. There are just two of us that work in the trucking division at Wreaths Across America, myself and Sarah Worcester, who's part of the founding family. And if people knew how much... Sarah does not get enough credit for what she does putting all these loads together, the amount of time that we spend, understanding this driver has this relationship with this location and making sure that it stays on his load or her load. We work so hard because we encourage our drivers to form that personal relationship. And I tell them, like, hey, you're the professional. Even when it comes to unloading a trailer, each location coordinator is supposed to have people there to unload the trailer for them. You're in management. You're the one who is counting the boxes. Because we get all types of groups, whether it's school kids, Boy Scouts, people from the Patriot Guard that come out and help unload. And I'm like, what I don't want to have happen is they needed 40 boxes and they took off 45, so you're short at the end. And so that's when I'm like, hey, this is the one time I need you to really understand you're in management, and really take that to heart. And they take so much pride in what they do. They go the extra mile. They'll call me if something's wrong, or let me know that they got their, hey, Courtney, I just want to let you know this was the best experience.
Yeah. You was talking about thanking truck drivers a while ago. Tell us about this, or the Remembrance Tree Program.
Yes, that's where you get to hang the dog tags. So out on our tip land, we have sections. I even have a section specifically for truck drivers, and they get to go and place a tag. I had one very compelling I mean, and hopefully I will not get choked up talking about this. Chris Shepard this year drove into Arlington. His son passed away a little over a year ago. And he got to be the first one to place a wreath on his son's headstone.
Oh.
And so he came out, he placed a dog tag for his son, and his wife rode with him. And she's the one that got the knock at the door.
Oh.
And so, to this day, I mean, he took the time to call me and thank me and say, you know, I've kept really bottled up. I've tried to put on a good face. And I was like, here's where you don't have to. You are surrounded and lifted up by so many people here who want to be here for you. And here's the opportunity for you to start healing.
So the dog tags are left at the place in Maine?
They are. And you can actually select for your tree not to be tipped.
This is not, it hadn't been used.
I told you that Chris Shepard gets me every time. And I say that, but he's such a genuine guy. And so they could choose for their tree not to be tipped, but most people want their tree to be tipped. That dog tag will be placed back on there, but they want to know.
Okay. They're contributing.
They're contributing, and that those branches from their tree, their loved one's tree, is out there giving back.
Yes.
They're still living. And that living, and by us, you know, being able to use the trees that are renewable resources, that's really, to me, pretty cool.
Is this continuing to grow, Courtney?
It is continuing to grow. So we are growing about, I'm going to say, anywhere from 12 to 17% per year. So every year, all of my carriers are so kind, and I ask for one more load, or I will call them and say, hey, look, I had this open that delivers close to your home. Or, hey, I'm really in a bind. Can you help me out? Somebody's truck, because inevitably somebody's truck's going to break down. Yeah. Something's going to happen. And I know and understand that. And our carriers step up every year. New carriers join us. And so to be able to see, you know, last year we did 3.1 million wreaths at 4,909 locations.
Wow.
You know, the year before was only about 3 million, you know, 295, something like that.
Are you getting any national recognition?
I think most of our recognition comes in the smaller general. But do we receive national recognition? Yes, some.
I would think so, too.
The mission gets lots of recognition, and we work really hard to partner with lots of VSOs, so Veteran Service Organizations. You know, we were just at the Medal of Honor Society earlier this week in D.C., you know, whether it's with the American Legion. You know, everyone has the ability, and I tell people everyone plays a part. And that was our motto a couple years ago, is that everyone plays a part. Mm-hmm. It was interesting. While I was sitting here before you and I sat down, I had a carrier that says, hey, I need to wrap a NASCAR for a fallen soldier. And, you know, she was like, I have to have this information by Monday. And she goes, I can look internal at my, you know, at our employees. And I said, if you don't, I got one for you. And she said, that was easy. And I was like, well, you know, I have the ability to work with so many amazing people. But this year's mission for us is keep moving forward. And so there was a soldier named Joshua Byers. His parents are very involved down in South Carolina. And his group came under attack. And his last words were, keep moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, you need something for a NASCAR race. I can't think of anything more fitting than keep moving forward. And, for your son to be showcased as the hero that he is.
That's great. Great.
At Aero Truck Sales in Springfield, Missouri, they take the hassle out of buying and selling semi-trucks. No matter the manufacturer, the style of cab, or the type of engine under the hood, they can make you a fair offer on your semi-truck with no games or gimmicks. They carry trucks from all the major manufacturers in the trucking industry and perform a thorough inspection of every truck on their lot to ensure safety and quality and give you confidence that you're getting a reliable truck that will last you for years at a price that you can afford. Aero has partnered with Oakley Trucking and the Oakley Podcast for years and are proud to provide our owner-operators with trucks that meet Oakley's qualifications and each owner-operator's specific needs. So whether you're a first-time owner-operator or just looking for a change of scenery, give Keith Wilson a call at 573-216-6047 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast.
I want to go a little bit, before I let you get out of here, I want to go a little different direction, and I want to know about Courtney George. I want to know a little bit about you because you're doing some amazing stuff, and you talked about working for 17 years for a trucking company. You had to, you changed some things in your life.
I did. If you had asked me when I came out of the University of Alabama with a degree in consumer industrial marketing, if I would have ever thought that I would have worked in trucking, I would have laughed at you. But I say all of that to go, I love this industry. I love the people in this industry. I got out of college, said the right thing in an interview. I was interviewing for a customer service position, said the right thing, and they were like, hey, do you want to be a recruiter? And I was like, I'm 23. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go. And I owe a lot of my success in this industry to Night Transportation and the background that they gave to me. Because for the first 3 months, I had to run trucks and run customers first. And I get why they do that, because they want you to understand their business, and it makes you a better recruiter.
Yes, it does.
You really understand. And so that set off a trajectory for me as I moved up the ladder within, driver recruiting and with other companies. The first thing I used to do is send people out for a ride-along. If you got a problem, you want to know what's going on, show up at a terminal and hop in a truck.
Yep.
You will find everything you could ever want out. So I worked in trucking forever. I can't leave it. I tell people it's Hotel California. You can check in anytime you want, but you can't ever leave.
Yep. Where'd you grow up at? Alabama?
No. I am from North Carolina originally.
Okay.
I went to high school up in Virginia. They sent you, a lot of people went to small private schools up in the Northeast. I hate cold weather, which is funny because I work for a company based out of Maine. But I went to Alabama. They did an amazing job recruiting, and have been living in Atlanta, so I'm close enough to my parents that I can get there if I need to, but I'm also far enough away that they do not just randomly show up at my door, even though they can. If they're listening to this or watching this,
always welcome.
You're always welcome. You have a key.
Yeah.
And they're great because they take care of my dog when I travel. But they, I have had the opportunity to travel and meet and see so many people in this country because of trucking. And so I absolutely loved it. And I was someone who was very passionate, and I was just a volunteer for Wreath. I wasn't, That's
how you got involved?
I got involved. I worked for SIA LTL for several years. And, one thing that was really important to me in the HR side is how are we engaging with our employees? And again, I sat there and did some math. And my number one thing was these guys are veterans. And, you know, I come from a family who has lots of veterans. My brother is brother-in-law is active duty. And so for me, it kind of took two things that I really care about, which is trucking and people, the people of trucking, and veterans. And, you know, I married this job, and it was the best thing that I could have ever. I tell people I am lucky every day.
Yeah. And then you just made that transition to Wreaths Across America full-time?
Full-time. I'm out talking trucking. I'm up here at Matt's recruiting drivers, recruiting trucking companies. You know, as we grow that 12 to 17%, that means I've got to come up with 12 to 17%.
So let's do that.
Ways.
Before we close out, tell the listeners how they can get in touch and do this and volunteer.
Absolutely. You can get online. You can shoot me an email at trucking@wreathsacrossamerica.org. You can also hop on our website, which is www.wreathsacrossamerica.org/trucking. It'll take you straight to all my information. You see my cell phone, my office phone is tied to that.
Okay.
And it's always with me. So I'm very easy to get in touch with. You can even find me on LinkedIn by searching Courtney George. I'm happy to talk with anyone, and know that there's a way that everyone can participate. If you're in this industry and you may not be a carrier, guess what? There's a way you can support the drivers. You're supporting your customers by supporting the drivers.
Yeah. Well, it's something that I'd heard about it, but I had no idea that it went into this detail and what all you do. And I mean, you're very impressive, Courtney George.
Oh, you're very kind. We're looking for over 800 loads this year.
Wow.
And that's, you know, over 800 opportunities to impress people. That's also 800 ways for us to be able to share with, you know, communities. Tell people about loved ones. Let them learn.
Yeah.
And learn about our heroes.
Yes. Well, you do a great job of recognizing them and doing your part to keep it going. And I really appreciate that. And it's really good to meet you and
Great
good to
meet you.
learn
Thank
about
you.
this. This is very interesting, and I'm glad we're able to promote it on the Oakley Podcast and get it out
Absolutely.
there for people to learn about it and know more about it. So thank you for sitting down with me.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
Yes. Appreciate everybody listening to the Oakley Podcast, of course. Just like every week, we try to bring you some good information for our owner-operators so you can be a successful truck driver. So thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.